What up, y'all? Welcome to another edition of Wine Wednesday. I'm here, Jacob Reynolds.
What's up, guys? Cheers.
Going, man.
Fantastic.
And real quick, the wine we're drinking is one called Paranoia. And if you can see real closely, it's like a hologram on the front, like the eyes like move up and down. And I just thought it kind of like resembled your history of recording metal bands.
It is a pretty metal looking wine bottle.
Though I guess you do mainly like pop punk music. You're not super metal in the music-y, right?
Yeah, no, I've actually I feel like I'm one of my only close friends that's like actually never been in like a metal or hardcore band ever.
I'm the same way though. So.
I've been in a couple that have had some like even like the band I'm in now is still like a little bit on the heavier side sometimes and like has some screaming and stuff, but I've never been in a metal band. And like it's weird because like I love metal music and I listen to a lot of metal.
Yeah.
And like with a lot of the bands like I work with, like people would like think that you know, but like when I show people like stuff that I've written, they're just like, oh, that's not what I expected at all.
Yeah, no,
like,
it's really not. And also congrats on the new Slaves video that just came out.
You,
if you guys didn't know, Slaves came out with a new music video that you shot, and it was pretty awesome. So
it was a lot of fun. It was a good time.
Yeah.
Interesting couple days on set for sure.
Oh, I'm sure. And you got a second one coming out.
Yeah, there should be a second one coming out, and hopefully within the next month.
Oh wow, that's quick. You guys are just cranking them out.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to start from the top.
All right.
So I just found out like 5 minutes ago that you're actually from Texas, from Dallas.
Yeah.
Dude, I was born in Dallas. So,
Really?
Yeah.
Like what part, like specifically?
Bedford.
Okay, I was born in Louisville.
Okay, right on.
I lived in Louisville for most of my life.
What brought you to Arizona? What?
So like when I was in like 9th or 10th grade, I think, my dad actually lost his job that he had in Texas and went through like a 1.5 year period of not being able to find anything, and then he ended up finding a job out here in Phoenix.
Okay.
And then it turned out that the company that my mom worked for in Dallas, that they're like all their other plants are overseas except for one in Dallas and a plant here.
Oh, so it worked out perfectly.
So she was able to transfer. I stuck around throughout high school. I like stayed there all through my senior year. Like moved out.
You stayed in Texas.
Yeah.
While your parents moved out.
My parents were out here. Yeah. And like my younger sister moved out with them, and I had 2 other sisters that were still in Texas. And so I lived on my own for a few years, and then when I turned 21, I don't know, there's just like a bunch of like bad shit that was going on in my life at the time. Like my relationship that I was in just kind of like disbanded out of nowhere. The band that I had been in for a long time before that broke up, and my mom came in town to visit once, and was just kind of talking about everything that was going on in my life, and went to dinner with my best friend at the time and he was like, well, hey, like, you know, I kind of want to go to Arizona because he wanted to go to the conservatory. And he was like, hey, like, you know, your family lives in Arizona, like, let's talk to your mom about moving out there. So we just kind of put a plan in place and just moved, like early April 2007, just moved out here, picked up everything and left.
So what was that first band that did you guys keep your band when you came out here? Or
No, I was in a band called Shoot, Fold, and Shoot when I was a teenager.
Okay.
Yes, that is Mighty Ducks reference for anybody that wants to know that. Love that movie very much.
Was that pop punk?
Yeah, it was like super pop punk. And then it was funny though because I actually joined another band shortly after that called Thorn vs. Side. That was more of like a Bayside type band.
Yeah.
And then I actually stayed in that band for a little bit when I left Texas and came out here. And then I actually like drove back to Texas and did like a full tour with them, and then came back out here and then and then quit that band after that because I realized that like being in a band in multiple states is just like wasn't going to work for me as a 21-year-old, you know?
Dude, I lived in Tucson going to U of A, and my band lived in Anthem, Arizona, North Phoenix. So it was like 2.5-hour drive just to get to practice every weekend while I was like studying pre-med and working at a hospital and working at Kinder Care and leading worship for 2 different churches. So like
a full schedule.
Yeah, so like that drive between cities was enough that like I think I did that for 2-3 years, and the only time I haven't played music in the last like I don't even know how long. I guess I started when I was like 18, so almost like a decade. And the only time I ever took a break was for 1 year in college. I was just like, I can't do this anymore. The 2 cities thing.
There's 2, yeah.
Yeah, it's too intense.
That's a hassle. Even doing stuff like in the valley, in this valley, when someone lives like 45 minutes away from you, just like, ugh, no.
So what got you plugged into the Phoenix music scene?
Oh man, so one of the first parties that I ever went to, I met this guy named Jeff Hudson. Jeff Hudson was the singer of the Ivy, like the first band that I was in out here.
Okay, yeah.
After that he was in a band called The Secrets We Keep for a while.
Were you in Secrets with Keith?
I was not.
I played so many shows with him. Yeah, awesome. Way back in the day.
That's funny because EJ, their last bass player, like before they broke up, is actually the bass player of my band now. So it's like a bit of a revolving door, I guess, you know.
They used to play with my band Ezer, like back in Scottsdale Studios.
Oh God, I remember those shows.
Did you play those shows?
I went to a bunch of them. I definitely went to a bunch of them.
That was when the music scene just was dead, man. Yeah, around like after like 2009, 2010 to like 2012, 13, like there was nothing. There was nowhere to play.
There was a dip for a while. Scottsdale Studios was rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but Jeff is the first guy that I met, which is funny because after all these years, I just found out a couple weeks ago that he actually lives directly across the street from me now. Shit. Like he lives like literally in the complex across.
Yeah.
But so I was at a party with my roommates because he had met some girl that he was hanging out with, and I remember it was that kind of that like awkward feeling of like this girl being like, "Oh, let me introduce you to all my friends," but like kind of walking through this party and not finding anybody that she knew. So us just kind of being like. Just kind of over and over again, you know?
Yeah.
And so I remember we walk outside, and then she immediately turns around to walk inside, and I just kind of, like, once again did the awkward, like, all right, see you later.
Yeah.
And this guy just goes, "Hey guys, my name's Jeff." And so like I turned around and like introduced myself, and then he was in a different band at the time, and I just remember going to a couple of his shows, and just like, you know, like building up a friendship and meeting, like, he's how I met, like, all the dudes that ended up being in Sleepwalker, like Brandon from I Set to Kill, like all those guys. Like,
and you were in Sleepwalker for a little bit too, right?
For a very, very short period of time. But yeah, Jeff is the whole way that I got plugged into everything. And then one day I just like saw him and I was like, "Hey man, like, you know, do you know anybody that's looking for a band right now?" And he was like, "Oh, actually, I'm trying to start something new." And that's how we ended up starting the Ivy like 2 years ago.
Well, I think that's how I know the Ivies, because I think I remember it. Was that before Secrets We Keep or after?
It was like kind of in the it was like the Ivy, and then after Jeff was no longer in the Ivy, like Brian, who ended up being the singer of Sleepwalker, started being the singer of the Ivy. Then Jeff started the Secrets We Keep, and then the Ivy like turned into Sleepwalker. So it was all kind of like a slight overlap period.
There was like a mixture. Well, music seems no stranger to that.
Right.
And you were also in Icebergs too, right?
Yeah, that was another like Ivy.
That was probably my favorite band. I didn't know you were in that.
I was a singer, man.
Really? Yeah. Well, I didn't. No, I think we played shows with you guys, probably back at Scottsdale Studios, like a long time ago. And yeah, I just remember you guys being like, your drummer. I remember being.
Oh, JD's a machine.
Yeah, you had a drummer, and your lead lines were just crazy. And I just remember being like, this band's like next level.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was you fronted it. I didn't know you until several years later.
It was for the first couple of years at least, because then some stuff happened. There were just like some misunderstandings between like us and like me and like various other members, which is all totally 100% water under the bridge now. Like that's not even like anything that's worried about. But yeah, it was actually, so Icebergs was originally two of the guys that were in the Ivy with me, and then like they had started this band. And then they got JD drumming, and then I came in like after a couple different little things they had going on, and I started singing and playing guitar for them. We did that for a couple years, and we put out an EP that way. And then after like some misunderstandings and everything happened, like I ended up quitting, and then they got this guy named Dustin to start playing guitar, and this guy named Jordan to start singing, and then that band, like Icebergs, ended up like breaking up entirely. And now actually Joe and Cody, the bass player and guitar player, are the Daylight Heist, the emo night resident DJs that do the emo night events all the time. And then so JD and Dustin and Jordan.
Did they do the Van Buren one?
Yeah.
Or did they do because I've done the Rebel Lounge ones a couple times.
I know they've done those before too, but I know they just did like the last Van Buren one.
Yeah, Steve started running them at Rebel Lounge, but then once Van Buren came up and started doing their own, I think they're kind of taking over the emo night now.
Oh yeah, and it's just like it's a much bigger venue to
massive.
do.
Yeah,
this is insane.
But yeah, how did you transfer? So you're playing in all these various bands throughout the scene. How did you transfer from that into being the videographer, photographer, business that you are now, or at least known for?
It just kind of like it kind of happened out of nowhere. Honestly, I just was I actually like went to school for video stuff 10 years ago. Like I went to the Art Institute from like 2007 to 2009.
Okay.
And like I dropped out before I finished my degree just because like I honestly like personally hate school. Like I can't do school for long periods of time. I get really, really bored and like really worked up, and so I just dropped out. And then in like 2013, I hadn't done anything with it, at all. And one day I was getting ready to like move into a new place, and I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm just gonna buy a camera. I'm going to take out a loan, I'm going to buy a camera, I'm going to start actually like learning how to do this, which just kind of turned into me like...
Oh, really? You took out a loan just to get your first DSLR?
To get my first DSLR.
Wow.
And so then I started working with my friends' bands. I started working with Sleepwalker a lot because like I had just gotten done living with Mike, and like Brian's my best friend.
Right.
So like I had just like I started working with them a whole lot, like doing some little videos here for him and like doing some photo shoots for him.
I do remember some of the early.
And then it kind of went from that, and then like actually like Ghost Mother was the first band that ever gave me like an actual chance to like shoot a video. The first music video I shot was for them at like the end of 2014.
Wow.
And like I had never done like a full video before, and like AJ and Derek were just like, hey man, like this is what we want to do, like just come in and do this for us.
Dang, that was only about 3 or 4 years ago since you started doing video.
Yeah, it's been about 3.5 years since I like really like plunged into it, you know.
But I mean, the crazy thing for me too is I feel like I've been like watching, like keeping an eye on your work since you first came out, and it really has. It was like, and it was always good, but then it got exponentially better to the point now where it's like this is professional grade work. So how was like, did you continue to kind of teach yourself through those years, or was it like trial and error?
There was definitely a lot of trial and error. When I was first starting, there was definitely like a lot of like editing techniques that I was trying to learn how to like quicken my workflow, because I watch a lot of stuff on like people's workflow and like how they get through things, and like one of the things I've realized is like a lot of that stuff just doesn't work for me. Like trying to like do things like on any sort of like a quicker basis, just like
so you just had to find your own style.
Yeah, I had to like find it, and then I watch so many YouTube videos. Like I spend hours, hours on YouTube. Like I guarantee you, like anybody else that does video would like say the exact same fucking thing. Like it's just like YouTube. Like I just watch tons of like I'll just see something, I'll be like, and like the thing I like about YouTube so much is that you can literally type in the dumbest question ever,
and you still
and
find
someone will have made that video. I'm just like, weird jump cut in video that goes from this to this, question mark, and like somebody will be like, here's a 10-minute video on how to do that. I'm like, oh, thank you. It's amazing. So I spent a lot of time doing that, and then just once I like start like practicing more, like I think one of the most important things that like anybody in that industry can really do, and something that helped me so much, was just like when I really started like investing more of my extra money back into it, and making sure that like
good lighting and
making sure that like everything that I had was like something that I felt was on a professional level, you know, instead of being like, oh, well, you know, I can go to Home Depot and buy all these lights for like $5 a piece, which I definitely did for a long time. And be like, you know what, I'm going to save up this much money and buy this like, you know, couple $1,000 like multi, you know, light kit that's professional, blah, 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 like stuff like that. And just really started to invest back into like what I wanted to see out of it, because I started seeing more of a difference, you know, once I started doing that, and once I had more time really too. That's another thing that really helped out a lot, was not working with as many people that were on like trying to do things in like such a tight deadline. It was just like, oh hey, we really want to shoot a video, but we only have from, you know, this guy doesn't get off work until 5. This guy can't
that's how bands operate.
And unfortunately, it happens so much. It's just like you get everything crammed into this like 4-hour time period. But once I basically started making it mandatory to be like, no, like everybody's taking off this day and possibly the next day to make sure we can like. That's when I really started noticing like big jumps in like the output of like the stuff that I was.
Because you weren't having to rush all your products.
Yeah, and just like you have more time to think, you know.
How does like creating a music video or things like that challenge you like creatively in a way that's different from like creating music necessarily? Is it like a different part of your brain? Is it very similar, or like?
I mean, I would say it's similar. Definitely like insanely different, because like I definitely think about them, you know, in completely different ways.
Yeah,
you know?
It's different products and.
But more so than ever, just the idea that like in film, and like this is even something that like they'll teach you in film school, is that like everything that can possibly be done has already been done before. Yeah. You just have to find a way to make that thing somewhat new or different somehow.
Or do it better. That's what
or do it better. Like,
that's always been my theory is everything's been done to do it better. And so like I always like when I look at my influences musically or with poetry or whatever art I'm trying to do, I look at the art that I like. I look at the songs that I like and things like that, and I take all the elements that I like. And I think that's the difference between imitation and like straight ripping someone off.
Oh yeah.
Is you take the pieces that you like, you incorporate it into what you're doing, and you just like you look at it and you go, you know what would make this perfect piece of artwork even better is by doing this, or adding this to it, or adding this other element.
Yeah, it's just finding like a little piece of something different you can put in there, because I obviously like draw influences from other videos that I watch, and see like, oh, like that's really, really cool. Like I wonder how we can do something that is that, but different, you know, like take that idea that's such a good idea and just like find a way to like expand upon it, whether that's just like doing the lighting differently or doing the story that's revolving around like that part of the video different. Like that's a huge part of it. And then editing wise, like I'm always just trying to challenge myself to just like try new stuff. Like I always just like try and like push myself to be like try something new. Like it sounds dumb, but like something you're afraid of doing, you know, because like it's really easy for me to get intimidated watching other people's work and watching other things and just being like, shit, like how do you do that?
Like venturing into foreign waters.
Yeah, and instead of getting in my own head and just being like, no, that's too hard, and just being like, well, you know what, like I'm gonna take this extra couple hours to like look into this one technique and figure out how to do that, and then just like add it into it.
Sounds like a lot of discipline, man. I think that's kind of the secret to all art. You know, is just having that discipline to sit down and put in the work. So when a band comes to you and approaches you with like an idea for a music video, like how does that process play out? Like do you usually, you know, start with their budget, or like how from like start to finish, what does the creation process look like when someone comes to you?
It's been different depending on like what the project is. Like sometimes I would start with a budget because like to be completely honest, like, you know, everybody has to know that that's a realistic thing. Like
it's the usual restraint from doing a video.
Someone could come in and say like, oh hey, I saw this band's video, it's really, really awesome, we really want to do something like that, and I'm just like, well guys, that was easily like a $10,000+ video. Like
you look at like My Chemical Romance's Helena video, where there's like a full on troop dancing.
And, I don't think the expectations are always like completely realized by like how much really goes into that, you know. So I've started on the conversation of budget before and kind of had to like break things back and be like, okay, well this is what we can do for this, and then sometimes I will just start with like okay, like here's a starting flat rate that includes all of this, and then if we want to do more stuff, we'll go by piece, basically, you know. But the overall process, sometimes a band will come with a full idea already laid out. And they'll like, you know, like one of the last bands I worked with, it was wonderful because their drummer had literally written out like an entire treatment to the song, like broken down by like words in the song, and like emailed it to me, like came over to my studio and like had me listen to the song while he was just sitting there like describing everything that was going on.
That's
and
me.
It was cool
that's the kind of guy I
know. And like and I got to have my pieces in it. Like I got to be like, oh, what if, you know, like obviously, like I'm the one that gets to decide like the camera angles and how the lights look and everything, and like
and you know what can be done. Like sometimes I have these lofty goals where, you know, I'm like, well, I want to do this and this. I have this epic storyline. Be like, okay, but that's like a 20-shot location. There's like 20 different locations for that shoot. That's impossible.
Yeah.
And so like I always have to rein it in and find like a realistic medium.
Yeah, which can be tough. But yeah, it's just happened both ways. Where there's that, and then like. The last couple of videos, like the Slaves videos, and then I worked on the recent Dead video that just came out too. I was assistant directed that one, so like Shannon was obviously like the actual director and shot most of it. I got to shoot some of like the secondary shots, but I also got to and my friend Rob, who just I could not like praise this guy's name high enough. Like he's like my set design guy, and so he helped me come up with a lot of the stuff for the story and like the set pieces, and obviously he like built the set. Did he do
the set for the Slaves one?
Yeah, he did the set for the Slaves videos, and he did the set for the Dead video.
Nice.
And like I get to help build the set, but like I'm just like an idiot trying to run around with power tools, like obviously like not knowing what I'm doing, and just being like, I know how to hold a camera, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, let me just hold this in place for you. But so like on all of those ones, it was just like okay, so like here's like a basic idea, like, you know, you guys come up with a treatment for me, and like the Slaves one, I had to get the treatment approved by like their manager and like their label backing and everything like that.
Oh,
and
really?
Had to change some stuff up because like the direction that they're taking and like the image that they kind of want him to portray. So like we had to change that stuff up and had to make that happen. So like
and then
still had to like build the sets and like, you know, it was, so it's unique because I feel like it's always a different experience because sometimes I work with someone that knows exactly what they want from start to finish. Someone that has like a rough outline, and it's just my job to put all the pieces in order and make it fit. And some people that just say, "Hey, here's this song."
Do you have a preference?
I mean,
is there like a certain type of like? Do you prefer like? Are there certain projects you prefer over others? Like, do you prefer someone to come out with a fleshed out idea? Do you like someone who leaves it really open for interpretation, or do you prefer metal bands over pop bands or anything like that?
I mean, I definitely don't have a preference to like the genres. Because anybody, like, my biggest thing about, like, anybody that has, like, any performance part in their videos is just, like, working with bands that know how to perform. Metal bands typically, like, have that pretty, like,
have the energy.
Have that energy down. But I've worked with a lot of bands that I've worked with a lot of pop punk bands that have the exact same kind of energy. So like just the bands having the energy to like put into it, because there's nothing more frustrating than like filming someone that doesn't have.
Right, it doesn't translate to camera.
It doesn't translate very well, you know?
I tell my own band that, because, you know, there's times that they'll hit a solo live and they'll just like, you know, they'll like hunch down and do like the power stance to do a solo. I'm like, that looks great live, but for a video, you need as much movement as like humanly possible.
Yeah, you're not actually, you don't have to play it right. Like, you're not playing it right.
Yeah, you don't have to hit the notes, man. You're probably not even plugged in. Like,
yeah. So I don't have I wouldn't say I have a preference genre-wise.
Yeah.
It's like bands that have like a good energy to it, like music. It definitely like stuff that I can vibe with, like music that I enjoy, makes the whole process a lot easier, because I obviously have to listen to the song 10,000 times after that. So, but along the line of like bands having more of like a fleshed out idea compared to like everything, I honestly enjoy both, because I like when bands have an input. I do like bands that like have an input and have like an ultimate vision of what they want, and because it's like it's really, really helpful. I started shooting a video a couple days ago where the singer Nate had a like very, very, very specific idea about how he wanted everything to look, down to like the way the camera moves, down to like the positioning of the people like around this table, and where the camera was going on each one, who was doing which part. Like,
was the one where they're smoking cigars in the video? Yeah, I saw clips
like
of that.
Just you know, like but I appreciate that, because you know, I may have seen it a different way and I may have wanted to do it differently, but it gets to be like, it's still my work, but it gets to be the way that his vision was for it. But there's also something really satisfying about doing something from start to finish and doing it basically all on your own. When someone just says, here's a song, come up with something, and when you come up with like the idea, and you have someone help you come up with the idea for the set and the build, and then like you see it all come together, like when you're done editing it, that's just like, oh man.
One of my favorite videos that you did was the Eclipses for Eyes one, where like Lexi's on the bed and there's smoke and things like that, and it wasn't even like, I don't even think it was necessarily like a video that had like a crazy storyline or anything really complex. It was like a relatively simple shoot, but it just like visually was really compelling. Like her on the bed with the smoke coming out and things like that. So I thought that was really good, just like making use of like the minimalism.
Yeah, visually wise, I definitely like, I love that. There's a lot of pieces of that in my demo reel, just because like I like the way the lighting was and all of it.
Yeah,
like,
the lighting is great.
Lexi just has an amazing amount of energy, especially for someone that small. Like
super charismatic. Just, like, one of my favorite live sets.
She just fucking packs like the biggest punch ever. And so like, and that entire video directly revolves around her. Like none of the rest of the band is in that video at all. So like it literally is just relying on her energy throughout the whole thing. And I think she just did like such a good job carrying it over. Like she's not uncomfortable on camera. Like you tell her to do something, and she's just like, okay, cool, I'll do it better than you told me to. Like like she was great to work with. Like,
I think that goes back to what you were saying about how it's really not about like the genre or the band. It's really about like the energy of the performers. So it's almost like it almost requires like a level of acting almost to be able to like pull off a good high energy shoot.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's also a huge benefit like when you have band members that like have acting experience, or like just even like kind of know how to act, you know, because they've definitely like run into a problem in the past where like there's obviously someone that's a little bit more uncomfortable, and you really have to like coax them pretty bad and be like, all right, that was good, but like still not seeing enough emotion, like we gotta get more into it. Or people are just kind of like afraid, you know, especially if it's like a scene that involves like a lot of anger, like getting people to fake yell at each other that like are not angry people is really, really hard. Like I had to literally like pull it out of someone. It was like it was a younger band, like they were all like kids, you know, it was like a bunch of like 17-year-old kids, and like there's a scene where like him and this girl are supposed to be screaming at each other. And like, they just couldn't, like they couldn't do it because they felt like it just felt weird to them because they didn't hate each other. And so at one point I literally put my camera down and I ran up to him and grabbed him by the shirt and pulled him in my face and started yelling at him. And it was just like, that was terrifying. I was like, do that. That's what I want you to do. Like I want you to be intense, you know?
Well, my own band had that issue because we had this new music video come out in May, but we originally had this intro that actually had dialogue in it. And that's like the most terrifying thing ever. And so I was like, all right guys, like these are your lines, like learn your lines. So my own band had to learn dialogue. And then like they were like practicing it and stuff like that. And then like our videographer was like, it was Alex and my other friend Ted. And they just like both come up and they're like, yeah, I think we need to cut the dialogue.
I'm sorry guys, it's just not working.
And well, my own band was like, thank God. They're like, we're musicians, man. I can hit my drums, or I can like play guitar, but asking me to like hit a punchline.
Yeah.
Like it's a perfectly timed punchline.
It's so funny how like that doesn't like translate to everybody, you know? Because like to me, I did acting all throughout high school. Like I was in theater for 4 years in high school, so like I get it. Like I always have. And so when someone's just like, oh, like I literally just like don't know how to act, I'm just like, how? Like I'm not sure that makes sense to me. Like you just don't know how to do it. And I'm just like, oh, I guess like if you've never done
it's
it
such like a
before,
switch. You just go
being a completely different person.
Right. But I guess, like, even for me, like, I have, like, a stage persona and things like that. And so, like, for me, it really wasn't, like, that difficult of a... I mean, I've never had to do, like, legit acting. But, yeah, to me, I was like, oh, yeah, I just gotta hit these lines, say these things. Like, I have to do it in my poetry videos. Like, when I'm, like, saying poems, like, it's all rhythmic.
And you're the singer in the band, so you always have to act in whatever video you do, no matter what. Like,
yeah,
pretty much. You're not gonna get out of that.
Like, I gotta understand how to control facial expressions. But, yeah, they weren't super down for it. Maybe I can coax them into it a little bit more later down the line.
Right.
But that's why it doesn't surprise me that people like Lexi, who is naturally charismatic, can just take the lead and make a video shine. And if you got cool band members, they're just like, yeah, you take it. Like, we don't want the spotlight like that. Then it kind of helps too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, she's great.
So we talked about how you got into videography. How is the life of being like a full-time creative person? Is it freeing that you're like a freelancer, that you can kind of create your own schedule, so to speak, or is it like
I want to say yes, because like that is like ideal. Like obviously, like you know, anybody that like works on something, like being your own boss, like sounds like the most ideal thing. But like you gotta like keep up with your own shit all of the time. Yeah. Like it's so unbelievably stressful sometimes, and just like just once it really comes down to like it's like a double-edged sword, because it's like, hey, like you are 100% responsible for all of the money that you make and like how you provide for yourself, and it's just like oh, like I'm totally responsible for that, and then it's like, oh shit, I'm totally responsible for that. So, like, you know, like,
you can't half-ass it. You can't just go to your 9 to 5.
Oh yeah,
and like you know, play on your phone all day.
Yeah, and it's like the amount of work that like goes into just like trying to maintain that and like getting stuff done on time. Like yes, I do love it, and like I absolutely like wouldn't have it any other way. And to be honest, like I don't have time to have like another job anyways. Like, last time I had a day job at the same time, like I had like about had like a mental breakdown. Just too like going too far back.
Yeah, you're working like 80, 100-hour weeks minimum. You know, so doing 2 jobs.
You know, it's really really good, but like I think a lot of people like don't understand like how busy it gets sometimes, because you know people just kind of like, well, you make your own schedule. Like why aren't you free more to do this, or like you know like, oh, how come you can't hang out tonight? Like you don't have a day job, and I'm just like, I don't have to work. Like I'm still working. I still work 60 plus hours a week. You know, like that doesn't change. So I gotta check this to make sure it's not an emergency. Okay, never mind. Okay. Well, check on emergencies, make sure that everything's okay.
Well, then that leads to my next point. The reason he's checking his phone is because you're a father.
Yeah.
So how does having like a family impact like your musician and videography life?
It's just
how's the balance and all that?
There's not. I'm just joking. There is a balance. It's difficult though. It really is. Like it's tough to balance out, and like. You know, I started really doing like video stuff like more full time like right before my son was born, who's my oldest, and so like then like learning how to like deal with the curve of like having a kid, like one kid, and then like once he was old enough, it was like okay, like you know now being back in a band is a little bit easier. Like I have a little bit more time to like get out. Right. It's not terribly difficult to find a babysitter for like one child.
All right.
But then like doing that full time, and then like having a second child on top of that is when stuff starts getting just a little bit more chaotic and insane, because it's like now that like. You know, my son is totally old enough to where like he could go and you know spend the night at like one of our you know parents' house or something like that, like our grandparents' house, and like be totally fine. But like our daughter's only a year old, and so like she's still kind of in the age where like we still you know like don't want her just like staying by herself anywhere, like because she's still not like always sleeping through the middle of the night, like totally. So like finding babysitters to kind of like work with our time, and like my fiance's work schedule is also like pretty crazy. Like she's a server at Cornish Pasty in Scottsdale. Oh,
so, she was my server at my birthday.
Really?
I didn't tell you this story. So my birthday was last month, and on the 25th. And she recognized who did she recognize? One of my friends was my drummer. No, I think she recognized Ashley. She recognized Ash.
Okay.
And she was like talking to Ash, and I was like, Ash, who is that? Like, do I know her? And he was like, oh, that's Jacob's fiance or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, oh my, and then like we were talking, Actually, we had scheduled Wine Wednesday, I think, that day.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's funny.
That I had ran into her. So, yeah, I don't know.
That's funny.
Sorry, long story.
Small world.
Yeah, it was a super small world.
Yeah, right? But, like, because of her working there, too, like,
right.
she works late all the time. You know, like, if she closes, she won't get home until 1:30 in the morning sometimes. And,
right.
like, there'll be some times where I'll have, like, some insane deadline. And, like, so I'll have to, like, leave to go to my studio and work until, like, an hour before she has to leave for work, come home, make sure I watch the kids, get the kids in bed, and, like, she'll roll through the door at midnight, and I'm just like, all right, I'm going to go back to the studio for a couple hours and, like, get stuff done. Or, like, you know, I've been there till 6 o'clock in the morning working on stuff because she's gotten home from work late, and just, like, I mean, it's obviously not her fault. She has a full-time job, too. But it just makes it that much more difficult to try and, like, work around schedules just because, like, to be perfectly honest, like, babysitters are really expensive. Nannies are really expensive, and it's, like, it's kind of hard to justify, like, always spending money on that. Whereas, like, when grandparents exist, you know?
Exactly.
And, like, so her mom does us, like, her mom's amazing. Her mom watches the kids all of the time. And, like, my parents are, too. My parents just also, like, my parents go to bed really, really early. And, like, they wake up really, really early. Like, their schedule's always been, like, oh, we're in bed by 8 o'clock at night. We wake up at 3:30 in the morning.
And your kids are starting about
it. Kids are just not, like, it just won't work out. So my parents can only watch them, like, at certain times because of that, you know?
Okay.
And my parents are actually getting ready to move back to Texas, so, like, once that happens, like, her mom is kind of, like, one of the only, like, resources we have until we decide that we just want to, like, start paying for it, you know?
Yeah.
So working around that, like, her mom makes it as easy as possible. Like, her mom literally, like, watches them almost every time that we need her to. There's just sometimes where obviously she has her own plans and it's just like needs to be her own person and say, no, I can't watch it tonight.
Well, I'll say as someone who's getting older, I'm starting to reach that age of like, well, I kind of, all of a sudden the idea of having a wife doesn't seem as bad as it used to be, and like having kids, like I'm starting to hit that age, you know, where like I'm starting to think about like slowing down.
Yeah. Just feels more normal, right?
Right. Yeah. And I definitely have like that desire tugging on me. Whereas, you know, when you're like freshly 21, like you just want to like.
That's the furthest thing from your mind.
Yeah. You're just like, I just want to hang out with my friends and party and blah blah blah.
All the time.
Yeah. And then after like so many years of that, you're kind of like, all right, it's a little like, it's not overrated necessarily. Like I love my friends, I love going out, but there's like comes to a point in time where it's like, okay, like I kind of just want to like, you know. And I've also worked with kids. I worked at KinderCare, and I've like worked as an after-school counselor. And I worked as like a high school worship leader, teaching high school kids and stuff like that. And so like I've been with like students long enough that I was like, man, I can't like wait to have like a little miniature me running around.
It's great. Like,
I
mean, it's definitely like anybody that tells you like parenthood's easy is like totally full of shit. Obviously, like it's difficult. Like my son's 3, and like he's a jerk. He's a 3-year-old. Like, you know, it's like he's the cutest jerk in the entire world. Like, I love him more than anything. But like, there's some days that I'm just like, what do I do with you? Like, I can't understand you. Like, you're just yelling and screaming about nothing. And I'm so confused. Like, what do you want? Why are you crying? Like, why are you burying your head in the couch? Like, like, and then having having a 1-year-old too that's like starting to like her, like as he is growing out of like the terrible 2 phase, like she's
like
to,
coming in,
like creeping into like her personality starting to show. Like just the other day, she recently started like when she's done with her dinner, like picking it up off her food tray and throwing it on the floor, and like she just started like shaking her head no and stuff. I'm just like, nope, here we go. Like it's starting all over again, you know, like.
Oh my God.
It's definitely like I would never trade it for anything. Like it is definitely like the most wonderful thing in the world. I love my family so much, but like there are some days I'm just like. I don't understand like why like there's so many memes about people busting out wine and shit after their kids go to bed. Like, there's 10,000 memes about people just like sitting down on the couch after their kids go to bed. Like I'm just like, yeah, I get it. I absolutely understand that now.
I find that really inspiring though, that you're able to find some kind of balance. Oh, hey puppy, can you guys see him on camera? Oh, you can't. There's a little doggy crawling.
You can pick her up.
Can I? Oh, she's so small.
I know. This is Miley.
This is Miley?
Yeah.
Hey everybody, say hi to Miley.
Say hi, puppy.
There's another dog over here, but she's a brat, so she's in her cage.
Okay, bye Miley.
See ya.
Oh, she still wants to be picked up. After I picked you up, you still haven't picked up. She's a little shaky.
She's a little love bug.
Yeah, the way I've always looked at kids, this is like the most uber romantic thing ever. But like, I've always thought of them as like, you know, if you had a kid with, if you love your wife or whatever, it's basically the idea is like the only person in this universe you care about more than yourself is like your wife, and then that being that you guys just create is half you and half the other person that you love more than yourself. So this is like the supreme, ultimate, perfect person. Unless you like really hate yourself, and you maybe
right. It definitely like, I don't know, having kids like teaches you like it's once again like super like cheesy sounding and like everybody says it, but it's just like it teaches you like how to love like to a different capacity in a different way. Yeah. Because like, I mean, I obviously like love my fiance like equally as much as I love my children, but like it's a completely different, you know, like the capacity of love that I have for my kids and how I feel about them is just like it's a completely like polar opposite feeling, you know.
And I imagine a lot of the discipline, the hard work that you've like really driven into like your personal business and stuff like that is motivated by like I need to provide for my family and I need to do better and I need to continue to create.
Oh yeah, and like that's one of the reasons that I'm just always working. Like I try just like to constantly like just be working so hard on just like everything, because like I mean it wasn't exactly very easy for me, you know, to like. I mean, it went over easier than I guess it should have, but like, you know, telling your fiance or like girlfriend at the time, like the mother of your 2 children, like, hey, I'm gonna quit my day job to do this full time, and like this is how I'm gonna provide for everybody. Like, that's not like a super settling thing, you know. Like, it's not like, you know, even though like whether I was doing well at the time or not, like, you know, like, it's not that like I don't like do okay for myself by any means. But still, like, it doesn't mean it's not inconsistent sometimes. Like, I don't have something coming in every 2 weeks, or I'm not, like, my girlfriend, like I said, my girlfriend's a server, she's making money every day, so, like, the way I get paid is very inconsistent.
Yeah, being a freelancer is such a terrifying thing.
Yeah, because I'll go through, you know, like, a few week period of time where, like, there's just not a lot of stuff coming in, and then, bam, like, out of nowhere, it's just like, okay, like, I got this deposit, I got paid for this, like, I got this coming up, I got this, and then I'm good for the next this long, and then you have, like, a little dry spell again, and then it, like, comes back. And so it's really easy to get like very overly stressed like during those like downtime periods, you know. Oh,
I imagine. You know? Well, even like we talked about like there's a strong camaraderie in the videography scene here in Phoenix, but you know Alex, and I think it's the funniest thing. I'll hit him up and he's like, dude, I'm booked for the next like 6 months. Yeah. And then like other weeks he'd be like, yeah, dude, I'm like free for the next like 3 weeks. Come book something with me. I'll give you a discount.
It's crazy.
And so like he'll go in these like periods of like he's just like raking in caches and projects and he's like overloaded.
Yeah, I see that because like for anybody that like doesn't know, like Alex and I are actually like in a group thread, like Facebook message with like some of the other guys like in the scene that do like photo video work.
Yeah, there's like a really great camaraderie.
Like, yeah, like we're all like we've only been able to have like one meetup so far just because we're all so busy. It's like every time we start talking about doing another one, like
you guys all have a project.
Someone's got something to work on. But like we all like had like a cookout. Like Alex had us all over to like he and his wife's house and like made food for everybody and like just like you know beers for everybody and just like everybody just got to kind of sit there and like. It was a really, really good way to just like, even though all of us already know each other pretty well, to put aside like any kind of like little like hidden misconception that like anybody thinks that they're better than anybody else. You know, it was such a good way to like bring everybody together and be like, hey, like this is the first time that all of us have been in a room together. Let's eat for a little bit. Let's talk gear for a little bit, and then let's throw some videos we've done up on the TV and like show your show your favorite and your least favorite video that you've never done before. Like it was a really good way to like get to know people and just like. Bro down. John Heismeyer got way too drunk and threw up all over Alex's hallway. Sorry, John, if you see this. It was the funniest thing in the entire world. Like, poor kid. Just, but we still don't. I mean, we still don't let him live it down. So I'm obviously not going to let him live it down in an interview.
It's too funny. Yeah, that's great. I wish there was more camaraderie there. I feel like the music scene itself goes in these waves of like heavy camaraderie and then not. And I don't know if it's just because there's always an influx of like newer bands that like. You know, they at first they don't know what to do when they meet other bands. They don't know if they're competitive or they're friends or what. Yeah. And then after a while, they're like, oh, it's better for friends or what. Yeah. But there's always been this kind of wave I've noticed of like bands I get close to and then they'll break up or whatever or like. And so I definitely think that kind of camaraderie really helps the scene more than hurts it. You know.
Oh, I absolutely think that. You know.
Because I go and I see. Like a music video from a local band, I'm like, that's an amazing music video. Either I'll hit you up, or at the very least, I'll be like, shit, I need to go make a music video because that was dope. Yeah. And then just, you know, then I'll hit up one of the other, you know, there's only like 3 or 4, I feel like, in the scene. I guess there's a couple of videographers now.
Yeah, got some decent ones.
Yeah. But yeah, that's definitely something I feel like is really great right now between like the different videographers coming together. And that's something that I wish we could do more
Yeah.
as musicians.
It's always nice too, like when you see it like at shows too, because like, you know, you can go to a show where there's 5 bands playing, and like each one of them may have booked a different photographer or video person for that night, and then like rather than like stepping on each other's toes, like everyone's just kind of like, oh, good to see you, like blah blah blah, like run up and give you a hug, like, let's go get a beer together, you know, like it's like we're all just buddies and not just being like, you know, hey, like when we're shooting next to each other, like we can actually like communicate, and not just be like, hey, fuck you, get out of my way, you know, like do stuff together. And I think like, I mean, I have seen some of that like in the music scene as well. Like I have seen some bands that have really started to kind of like bind together and like want to like help promote other people. Like you know, I saw like Adam Ramey from Dropout Kings just started a page recently where he's just like, oh, if you like it's like a big group page where like every week he has someone post their music video to that page, and then everybody that's in that group has to repost that same video to promote everybody else's bands on there. Oh, and he'll constantly do something like, if you invite 200 people to like my band, I will invite 200 people to go like your band. Like that dude is definitely someone that is like trying to push very, very hard. Of like,
for me, it's about like finding that tribe. Yeah. So like because you go back to the MySpace days, you and I both go back to the MySpace days.
Unfortunately, that doesn't like date us right now. Definitely, like I remember when MySpace was created. Like,
yeah, the MySpace days, every band had like everyone had like their top 8 or whatever, but bands would have like their top 8.
That's how you found all your new music.
Exactly, and so like the bands who were friends with each other, like I found the Maine because before the Maine ever played a show or even had a song out. Because Lydia promoted him because they were friends with, you know, like Tim Kirch and that whole crew.
Dang.
So like Lydia was huge at the time. They were like one of the top 20 bands on MySpace overall.
Can't believe that was so long ago.
Right? Like they're crushed. Now they're opening for Moose Blood and shit. It's the weirdest thing. I don't think that show's coming to Phoenix, which really pisses me off. But yeah, I just remember Lydia being like, check out this band. I'm like, who are these pretty boys? They don't even have a song out yet. Right. And then, you know, they became the Maine.
And you're just like, oh, well, sorry, yeah. Spoke a little bit too soon.
Right. I was like, those pretty boys knew what they were doing. But I always go back to that. Like, I'm still stuck in that mindset of when I was like in high school watching those bands, because the way that they promoted each other, like, all the time, or at the very least, like, you knew which bands were friends because they were in the top 8. So I was like, well, wouldn't it be great if bands would just, like, say, like, just put a post out about whenever their other friends, like, release a new record or a new song or, like, something like that. And so I always, like, try to actively promote my friends as much as I can.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's really tough because I feel like there is, like, this natural mentality of, like, they feel like there's like this limited resource of fans, but there's really not. Phoenix is huge. Like, exactly. Like, there's like hundreds of thousands of people that live in the city. I know. Like hundreds of thousands of teenagers and young adults who come out to shows. Mm-hmm. Like this is when like the reason I don't have like a sense of like feeling of like competition per se with bands. Like I definitely like tend to measure myself in terms of like, okay, well this band's bringing out this many fans, like I should be able to do that, so I need to work harder. So there's definitely like a measuring stick that happens, but I'll go to like just like any show at the Marquee or Van Buren or like Crescent, and I see a sold out show from like some band touring. I'm like, look at all these people that care about music that I care about too. Yeah. And I was like, there is no reason why I can't create my own music or create some kind of like thing that these people wouldn't enjoy as well. And so that's kind of like my mentality of why there shouldn't be local competition, but local like community and like brotherhood. Yeah. Because you can go to these bigger shows and be like, look, everyone in this room, there's no reason why they shouldn't be coming to a local show right now. And like, oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And it's like, and you know, whenever cities have like that, like whenever someone can from the outside see that a city like has a collective like camaraderie between their bands, like that's when multiple bands from that state start getting picked up for bigger things. Because someone from the outside comes in, it's just like, oh, like look at this. Look how many people are into these. Like, I mean, look at like back in like 2004, 2005. Like even before I lived here, but like I still knew who like Greatly States and Bless the Fall were, and like all the bands who were like Stiletto Formal got picked up like right out of there. Like Lydia, obviously, like like there was a time period where like tons and tons of
everyone was getting signed out of Phoenix
because
like,
people
Kills Off for a Cowboy. Like
people loved like how together it all was. Same thing happened in Dallas in like 2007 when like Forever the Sickest Kids and like Oh Sleeper and like Memphis May Fire and stuff like that were like
all of a sudden one band gets picked up, they all get picked up.
Yeah,
that's exactly what happened in Phoenix, and that's what I've been trying to tell people that. I was like, don't be upset when one band starts succeeding. Like, promote that band that's succeeding, because if one person gets signed, all of a sudden Phoenix matters again.
Yeah.
And I was like, and Phoenix hasn't mattered since like the last band to get signed to a major label was The Maine, and that was in 2008. It's been over a decade since a band out of Phoenix has been signed to a major label that I can think of. I mean, there's definitely been like medium-sized, like obviously our friends in like Sundress are doing really well.
Yeah.
They're signed to a medium-sized label, but no one's been signed to a major or has like a major subsidiary since The Maine back in 2008. So yeah, we need that for sure.
Yeah. That's something that I've always thought, and like I'm too old to see it any other way, you know. Like I don't understand. Like I'm too old to have like beef with anybody really about this stuff. Like unless it's Randy DeGarmo. I'm just kidding, Randy. I love you. I just have to like name drop you somewhere and tell you how much I hate you. Like,
what up, Randy?
I just Randy. Like no, I love Randy. Randy and I just like constantly.
They still doing Emerald Isle stuff?
No, I think they just broke up.
Whoa!
I'm not sure. I'm not gonna like. I won't speak on anyone's behalf because I'm not sure what happened.
Right.
I just heard. I heard.
Don't
they
hear
were broken
first.
up. No, Randy and I get along really well. We just like very publicly give each other crap all the time because we're the same age. We all still like play music. It's always just like, hey, look at that old man like playing in a band. Like we just like to joke around with each other. So like I have to take every chance I can get to like take a shot at him somehow, you know.
Well, Randy, if you're watching this, what up, dude? And Lev in that band, man, he is such a great. I've always wanted to take one of his Ableton courses.
I know he's been crushing that stuff lately. Like he's been. I'm pretty sure he might get to be like traveling with that soon, like doing like some full-time shit with that, which would be awesome because
I know like people like Corey, like he teaches at, I don't think he teaches at the conservatory, I think he teaches at Mesa. Mm-hmm. But he's like, so he, you know, produces pretty much full-time, and then like on the side does like as a professor, even though he's like doesn't have a teaching degree or anything like
Corey?
that. Yeah, Spots.
Corey Spots does? Oh wow,
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a teacher at one of the universities here. I don't think it's the conservatory. But he teaches Pro Tools classes.
That's awesome. Corey's the man. That's who we recorded our last album with.
Yeah.
Just
crazy. We recorded with him for our last album, and then Hiram did our EP.
Nice.
So no, Corey's great. He was my hero growing up in Phoenix, because he's the one who did Real Estates and Bless the Fall and Solidify, like all the others named that are getting signed are all getting signed because of Corey. Corey like pretty much like engineered the whole like Phoenix,
I know, right?
Like bands getting signed out of Phoenix thing.
He's great to work with. Like he just like I don't know. He brought like a lot of stuff out of, especially me. Like I'm you know like I want to say like all of us, but like definitely just like how driving he is with like how much he like makes you play perfect. Like how much of a perfectionist he is about the way you play and stuff like that. Just like really brought out like a whole different like element to like how things ended up coming out than I thought originally. You know.
Yeah, it's interesting recording with him between someone like him and Hiram. I have this talk all the time with bands, like the differences between them, but Corey's definitely a lot more like meticulous and like the tonality and the playing and things like that.
Yeah.
And like he's like so much more of like an engineer.
Very very much like on like the finger positions. And,
yeah.
Like, you know,
like he'll like make sure you got the right pick, even like sometimes.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's like, here, check this one out.
Yeah.
Have you seen that little tiny amp that he has? The little smoky amp.
Dude, have you seen the one that's made out of the cigarette box?
Yeah, the little smoky amp. We used that in one of our songs.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that thing.
Because like Dustin was just like dicking around on it, and Corey was just like, here you go, and actually like ended up using it for like one of the parts of one of our songs.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
No, he's brilliant. I would love to get him on the show too, and just pick his brain, especially about the stuff that happened in the 2000s. Because he did the Maine, he did the first Maine record as well.
Yeah, he's probably talking about video games for like
he's such
all
a
day
nerd.
too. He is such a nerd.
Such a nerd.
But like in the best way possible.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy. And so is Hiram. Hiram is like the most creative. Like he's like an insane person. Working with him is like going into an insane asylum.
Oh yeah, Hiram's just a crazy dude all over. Like his shit always sounds fucking fire. Like,
it's so great.
He's really really good at what he does. He's just a crazy person, like in the best way possible. Like you never know what to expect anytime you see that guy. It's just like.
Right.
Do I put my hands out to hug you? Like, do I defend myself? Like, I don't know what I'm getting into right now.
Exactly. It's just like every time you hang out with Hiram, you never know.
It keeps you on your toes, though. Hiram Hernandez, you keep people on their toes a lot.
Yeah, love that guy as well. All right, so this is the last question.
Right.
Going back to the freelancer stuff, what are some like the tips you have for freelancers, like looking to get started in either videography or even music or anything like that.
Anybody that wants to freelance, just I'm trying to think of like non-cliche stuff to say because that's always the hardest part. Just like everything's like such a cliche piece of advice. Like honestly, just like practice as much as possible. Like do things like in your free time. Like practice. Like if you're a photographer, practice in your free time. Like don't try to like avoid only like doing paid shoots and like just go out for fun. Go do stuff for fun. Like if you're a musician, like play guitar for fun. Obviously, like just like, remember what it is that made you like it. Yeah. So that you don't get so bored with it because you end up hating it because you're doing it too much. That's really, really important. And like invest in yourself, invest in your product. Like, you know, whether you're a musician, videographer, photographer, dancer, whatever you want to do, like recording engineer, like invest in the things that you want to put out. Like don't be too stingy on the amount of money you're putting into it because ultimately it's something that you want to be the way that you're living the rest of your life. So, you know, put into it. Don't be afraid to stand your ground. That's a big thing. There's going to be a lot of people when you work in any freelance industry whatsoever that will try and swindle you and break you down really, really badly. And just don't be afraid to say no.
I mean, you get to do as a band. I can't tell you how many. When I was younger, I got screwed so many times.
Me too. I actually got one of my old bands got blacklisted from something or other like that happening with getting screwed over at ticket sales, and it caused like a big thing. Like it just happens. Like just don't be don't be afraid to tell people no, and don't back down from like what you have like your standards set at. Like don't let people come in and like try and budge you on something that you shouldn't budge on. That, and most importantly, I was actually thinking about this today. I didn't know if this question was going to come up, but like, just remember to take days off.
Really?
Remember to focus on like up here, obviously, because like they're like that's advice that I'm like not very good at following, and like it sucks.
Neither am I.
Like it sucks really bad because I just like there's some days that like I just like do not want to get out of bed because I'm just so mentally drained and stressed out from like all the projects I have going on and what I need to be working on, and I just like I don't, you know, there's sometimes I'm not spending enough time with my family because I'm just like go, and like there was a period of time where like when I still had a day job at the same time where I would be working so much between that and video stuff that like I wouldn't see, you know, my girlfriend or my kid for a few days at a time, and it just like it becomes very, very mentally draining. Just like do not forget to like take days off and just relax. Like it's so unbelievably important just to like try and like relax and just like sit down and watch TV or like go out and like go for a walk. Like I like riding my bike, like go out and like go for a bike ride or like go to the gym or just something that is not work related.
I think it's so hard to follow that advice, even though it's
such incredibly hard. It's so important though.
Because when you're someone with like a dream, like music or videography, you're someone who's like really chasing, like we're in this society that's just like go. The harder you work, the more you're rewarded. But you do reach this like, you know, so a lot of people think like trying to make it in any kind of industry is some kind of sprint or whatever. And I see it with young bands especially. And they'll maybe do good or they'll hit a rough spot or whatever, and like they're so quick to break up or quit or give up, you know, they lose a band member and
that's just like it for them,
right? And they're just like, and then on top of it, they're, you know, they've exhausted all their money and they're so tired of having to sell tickets and make like put on these shows that it drains them. But for someone like me, I don't look at it as like this. I have to be famous now. Like if I'm not successful now, then like for me, like it's really about enjoying the journey too, and like letting it, like incorporating it in a way that's not like exhausting, I guess. So for me, it's like, okay, tonight I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna write for an hour, but like writing to me is no longer this like I gotta write or else like I won't reach my goal. It's more like I want to write because I want to write, or like I want to play a show because I want to play a show.
Well, I guess building off of that advice based on like exactly what you just said, like, you know, you can tell yourself like, okay, like I'm gonna sit down and write for this long like each night, and like, and if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Because if you don't want to do it, you're gonna force it. And forcing it's not going to make it any better. Like if then
you hit this mark where you're like, I'm not as famous as I thought I was, or I'm not doing it, and then you just give up. You're just like, this is too much, this is too difficult.
Like I have to tell myself sometimes, like I'll go to my studio and I'm just like, I don't feel like editing right now. Like I'm not in the mood, and I have to like be like, fine, like I'm gonna sit down and play video games for an hour and see if I can get myself back in the mood. You know, like there are like even if it's just a small break where like I have to force myself to do it sometimes.
I'm the exact same way.
Or like here, like if I have a night where say like I work really, really late and I have like a really, really late shoot, and my fiance is like staying the night at her mom's house with the kids or something like that, like I'll come home and like it's like, okay, I can either like go back to my studio straight from the shoot and like go work a whole bunch more, which I should do to like get this done, or it's just like, or I can just go home and like there's a bar right across the street from my house, or I can just like walk into the bar and just like sit at the bar and like have a couple beers and just chill out and like come home and go to bed. Like right. You know, I'm not saying like people have to take off like too much time, but like just like not pushing yourself like to like your literal breaking point, you know?
Well, exactly. So like for instance, my band, we only did like 3 or 4 shows last year. I think we did like 4, maybe 5 shows tops, but not many shows last year. And this year we're doing even less. Like we've already agreed as a band that if we do 3 to 4 shows in Phoenix, then we're happy with that. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is like, and people ask me like, oh, why aren't you guys playing as much? I'm like, no, we're still a band. We're still going hard. We're still loving. We still practice every week. Like we still love what we do. It's just that like, look, I was that young high school kid playing shows. I was that college kid playing shows. I was that kid who graduated college playing shows. I used to play shows like I would take everything that came to me. Yeah. And I would take all these offers, good or bad. I would just take everything. And I would play like 2 shows a month, 3 shows a month. And I would just play until I got my name out there. And then, but then it got to this point where I was exhausted, where I just didn't want to play anymore. And I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy putting on shows. I didn't enjoy meeting people. I didn't enjoy like watching other shows.
You're just tired. Like, everything about that experience becomes exhausting. Like even just like walking into a room where bands are playing and you're just like,
you just get burned out, and so I was like, dude, I just can't. And so I finally realized that like if I want to keep playing music, I have to slow it down for myself and stop looking at it as if like I gotta take every offer given to me so that I can be famous now. Yeah. Like now it's just like I'm just gonna continue to put out the best artwork that I can and take the time and do what I enjoy to do. And if people follow me and like then that's great. And I'm still gonna like work hard and meet people and bring people out to shows. But it's not going to like, I'm not going to die because of it anymore. Yeah. And whereas before I spent years just like.
You're not going to go like into a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
And you're also like, especially in the music side of it more than anything, like when you do like that route, like you're leaving something more to be like desired by other people. Like when you play 2 or 3 shows a month, like I don't want to say like you lose a fan base because like if you have a fan base, like you're still going to have a fan base, but like. Nobody, nobody wants to come see your band play 2 or 3 times a month. Like I think anybody that's ever been in a band ever has realized that at some point. But like we've all done it. We've all taken every show that came to you, and like I got to a point where even like playing 1 show a month was starting to get to just like, all right, like it's impossible to sell tickets to this because just like people are just like, oh, I saw you last month, and like
exactly.
People
saw a couple weeks.
Like going to shows is awesome. Like I love going to shows as much as I possibly can still, but like. There are other things that people want to do on Friday and Saturday night sometimes, and a lot of times people say, oh, we just saw you a couple weeks ago, we'll catch the next one. Yeah. So it's like, why not just skip that one in the middle altogether and just book the next one, you know? Yeah. Like, spread them out more.
That's exactly
like to be desired, you know?
That's exactly how it is for us. That's exactly how it is. And I guess the way we compensate through is just putting out other content, you know?
Oh yeah, like having something to release in the meantime is such a good idea, whether it's like a new song, like it's crazy because like thinking about like the MySpace days, like the way to properly release music now is still like such like an uncharted territory of just like what works the best for people. Like you see bands are just like some bands are just like, oh, we're gonna drop a full length, and I'm just like, okay, cool, that works for you. Another band drops a full length and you're just like, ooh, that didn't work at all. Like some bands will just be like, okay, we're gonna release
Dude, it really is.
Like 3 songs now, 3 songs later, 3 songs in. Sometimes it's like we're gonna release a music video, and then 6 months later we're gonna release this. Like it's just like it's a completely like it's a war zone now, basically.
The funniest thing, dude, it really is. It's up in the air because like so when we released our CD, our full length, it was at a time that Spotify didn't do curated playlists yet. Okay. So like we released that album, and I think at the time releasing albums was fine on Spotify because I would listen to an artist and I would just zone out on their album. But now like I don't listen to albums. Now I listen to playlists, like either based on mood or like the daily mixes that they give you and things like that. And so now I don't listen to like one artist all the way through. Though I will say the new Tiny Moving Parts record is so good that I listen to that album like on repeat. And there's a couple albums that'll do that for me. But us as a band, so we released our EP and everything went well. We got good press and stuff out of it. But the hype went up and down, and so I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna put out singles from now on, because I mean, if I'm just gonna get a big peak in hype, then I might as well just put like singles, like 2-3 singles a year. So my band actually just switched to the model of putting out singles.
Mm-hmm. And I see a lot of people that are like moving towards that route because it seems to be doing better with the like the generation of people that are consuming music right now. Like we do, you know, like like well, we can talk about like the old days as much as we want to, but like even people like in our age group still do it. Like I can't tell you how many times like now that, for instance,
I don't buy CDs anymore. I can't remember the last time CD I bought.
I don't buy CDs anymore. Just the fact that like if someone tells me to check out a band, the first thing I'll do is go on YouTube and see which songs they have videos for. Yeah. And that's what I'll check out. Like I don't go like searching out their individual music. Like I want a visual stimulant to go along with it. Like I'm just as bad as the people that were blaming like the young kids that were blaming on just like being like such a visual generation. I'm just like, I do the same thing. Like
which is why like videography is way more important than I think people realize. And I really hope that, well, one, I think we're seeing a resurgence in the music scene in general. I think ever since about like 2013 or 14, once the economy starting to kick back up a little bit more, we started seeing like the return of indie bands and things like that.
Yeah.
And also like with home studios and things like, okay, we're about to go over time here, but like with home studios and things like that, that's why we're seeing so much like hip hop. Mm-hmm. Like hip hop is just dominating right now. But we see a lot of like our buddy Rio and bands that are like doing like kind of hip hop, R&B, one-man stuff are people who are like creating beats in their studio and putting out themselves, and they're able to put out singles just like that. But I feel like because the cost of recording is going down because people can do it at home, and the cost of videography has gone down a little bit, but now like the level of which like now we need more videos, now we need more music, and now like to feed the masses. So I feel like the amount of content we got to put out is greater.
I know. I feel that, and because it's always because there's a couple bands. There's a couple bands in the past, like since 2010 and like onwards, have been a band that have released some sort of video for like every song on their albums. You know, it's been like whether it's like a lyric video or whether it's just like literally like a video of someone picking up a glass over and over again while the song's playing. Like they know that people want visual stimulation. So
even Lauren has a song where she just sits there and stares at the camera the whole time. It's like in real time, but her entire like it's one of her hit songs. Yeah, and that's the whole video.
I think people just realize that like it's such a necessary thing in the current time point. Like what people want, you know, like we do live in a visually stimulated like time frame.
Right.
And I mean, like I love it because I love creating visual content, obviously. But
even Spotify started doing videos now. I'm not sure if you've seen that.
I did not see that.
Yeah. If you go like the most popular Spotify playlist is Rap Caviar, the hip hop one. Mm-hmm. It's like the most followed playlist in all of Spotify. And the first like 5 or 6 songs are all like videos.
Dang.
So they're trying to move to a platform that's very similar to YouTube, where you can both hear the song if you're not paying attention, but if you're on your computer or whatever, and you're paying attention, you can either see the video or see the lyrics up on your screen. Wow. So Spotify is trying to like mix in visual content as well. Dang. So I think the market looks good for both like indie rock bands. Obviously hip hop's killing it right now, but I definitely feel like indie rock is definitely on the rise, and I think videography as well is going to be hand in hand with that do-it-yourself movement. And I think that's just kind of a reflection of where our culture is at and where it's headed.
Yeah, for sure.
But let's see if we got any questions or comments. Let's see if we got anything.
My eyesight's terrible, so if there wasn't.
Yeah, I'll walk over to you. Usually when I talk to the camera, they're a little bit more. Hey, Zach Beam wasn't here. We were just talking about you, homie. Oh, a lot of people came in here. Alex, we were talking about him earlier. He says, "Oh my God, my favorite people." He's got a heart.
Oh, I love you, Alex.
Oh man, we like talked about half these people watching it. American Standards, he said, "Sup, Dreamy Pants Reynolds, probably just doing Dreamy Pants stuff. Let's get that T-Cop Amsterdam gig going."
Dude, hell yeah, fucking be about it. I'm sure that's Brandon that said that, because Brandon's the only one that talked to me that way.
I'm sure, dude. I've been meaning to get Brandon on my show.
Yeah, American Standards has been one of my favorite local bands forever. Like, those dudes are just insane.
They're
so unbelievably crazy.
The original like core of their band was actually all went to high school with me. So like their original drummer, and then Cody, rest in peace. The one who committed suicide, but he was a high school friend of mine. And I remember seeing them like right when they're first starting, back when they're doing like house shows. They came out kind of again when the scene took a dip, and they're one of those bands that are just do it yourself. But they had that like Chariot vibe where they just like thrashed around on stage.
They still do. Corey, just like the way that dude plays guitar, I'm just like, how do you actually play anything? Right. But he does. He just kills it.
I love it.
Insane. I love those guys.
I've always wanted a band, like a pop band that would play like the Chariot live, but I could never convince my band to look like mindless zombies on stage like that. Okay, so they're still watching. They said no, def not Brandon, and then Pinocchio no. So it's definitely Brandon.
So it's definitely Brandon. So it's most definitely Brandon.
And Brandon, you're the only one on here, so no one else wanted to say hi to us. So it's all right. If you guys do got any questions or comments or anything like that, you can leave them throughout the week, and me and Jacob will answer them. Otherwise, thank you, Jacob, for hanging out with me, dude.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, not a problem. We'll see you guys later. Bye.